Hey everyone, welcome back to the NES Archive, where we're going to take a look at the North American NES library one game at a time. Today's game was originally released for the Nintendo Entertainment System on October 29th, 1986. The game is M.U.S.C.L.E, or Millions of Unusual Small Creatures Lurking Everywhere. According to the front of the box, M.U.S.C.L.E is part of the Character Action series. It's basically a wrestling game based on a series of toys by Bandai in Japan and by Mattel in the United States. The toys actually started in Japan as merchandise for a manga called Kinnikuman, which translates to Muscle Man. The writer of the manga was Takashi Shimada, and the artist was Yoshinori Nakai. On the back of the box, it says, "Team up for a rough and tumble match. The World's Tag Team Wrestling Championship up for grabs. Wrestlers have gathered to battle it out for this prestigious title. But only those with the most muscle can even stand a chance. You and your partner can team up against some great ring tacticians in this fun, action-filled game pack. Your opponent's special wrestling techniques will dazzle and confuse and conquer you. But with the wise use of the booster ball, when it's thrown your way, your team can jump, kick, and punch its way to the top in this thrilling and challenging game." The game was developed by Tosei Software out of Kyoto, Japan. They're mostly known for developing the Game & Watch Gallery games, and they share copyright with Nintendo for the legendary Starfy series. They have a reputation for being known as a ghost developer, as they often don't put their name on the games that they've made, not even giving the individual developers credit for the games. They've made games for just about everything, from the arcade all the way up to the PS4. M.U.S.C.L.E was published by Bandai, which eventually became Bandai Namco. They were also responsible for NES games like Galaga, The Rocketeer, and Xevious. I know I said that it's a wrestling game, and it certainly marketed as such, but I feel like what makes a wrestling game is pinning your opponent. And this feels more like a fighting game because each wrestler has hit points and you lose if they are reduced to 0. There's no pinning. There isn't a way to get out from being pinned by spamming a button, just the special moves. The two players face off, chasing each other around the ring, bouncing off ropes and trading blows until someone's out of health. If needed, you can attempt to retreat to your corner and tag out with your partner, and every once in a while, the trainer will throw a booster ball into the ring. If you get the ball, you move a lot faster, as well as use the fighter's special techniques, which are unique to each of the 8 characters. We've got Muscle Man, Robin Mask, Ashra Man, Terry Man, Geronimo, Larman Man, and yes, I did mean to say Larman Man, Buffalo Man, and Wars Man. It also features 2 special ring types. There's the ice ring, which causes wrestlers to slip and fall, and then there's the electrified ring, which would shock the wrestlers when they touch the ropes. I couldn't find any reviews of the game from back when the game was released, so you're just going to have to settle with my thoughts on it. The gameplay is actually pretty fun. If I had this game when I was a kid, I could see my friends and I playing it for a long time. Getting off a backdrop or a flying body attack can be very satisfying in the game. The presentation, however, is abysmal. It leaves a lot to be desired. The selection screen doesn't show you the wrestlers' names for some reason, so if you ever lost the manual, which everybody did, you'd quickly forget who was who. It never tells you in-game the names of the characters or their special moves. The graphics feel like they used a very small number of colors, though this could be because the toys were based off all monotone flesh-colored toys. Although I did read somewhere that eventually some of the toys came in other colors. The sprites are big, which I usually like. They're big and chunky, but they lack any definition, so they just look bad. They look like a big wall of color. The music's pretty good, but the sound effects are really terrible. Overall, if you were to see this game and not play it, I could see how you would write it off as just a pile of garbage. However, I felt like playing it was actually pretty fun. Trying to get the special moves off, trying to maneuver behind your opponent to do I can't remember what the move is, but like a suplex, or bouncing yourself off of the ropes so that you can fly against them, or if somebody's bouncing off the ropes, you can clothesline them. All of that stuff is really fun. And when I was playing it, I felt like the match could go either way at any time, and I had fun with it. So I guess here's my question to you guys. Did you collect muscle figures as a kid? I remember my brothers and I collecting them, and I would bring mine to school and I would trade them with my friends because you could buy them in like a container and they would be just a mixed assortment. And, you know, you might get one that you already had. So you would bring it in. You'd be like, hey, I've got this guy. Does anybody want this guy? And then you would trade them back and forth, kind of like baseball cards. And is there anybody out there who actually played this game? I never saw it in the stores. I had no idea this game ever existed. I don't know if I cared enough about the action figures to make this game something that I would have been interested in back when I was a kid. You know, most of the action figures that I had, these were fun little collectible toys, mostly because they were really cheap. But the action figures that I really cared about were like the He-Man and the G.I. Joe. And like, if a game for that came out, then I would have been much more interested than a game about this weird flesh-colored rubber eraser-like toy. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of the game M.U.S.C.L.E, and you can post it if you had any of the characters when you were a kid. And that's it for this episode of the NES Archive. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.